The toaster, the blender, the mixer, the soda stream, the air fryer, the canister set your in-laws got you 6 years ago, the kids' book bags, your work computer, half-eaten bags of chips, and that tool that you need to walk down to the shed. All of this stuff is on your kitchen counters and you just need to make dinner. Hello, I'm Mary Ellen. I have had over 16 different homes and 18 different kitchens in the past 30 years. I've learned a lot of tips and tricks about how to make any kitchen function well, no matter its size, layout, or configuration. Today I wanted to talk to you about our countertops. The list of things that collects on our countertops can be overwhelming, and it's stuff that we just have to move around over and over again whenever we want to bake cookies or put together a meatloaf. The challenge is real, we all struggle with it. And no, my countertops don't always look this pristine. However, I do try to keep them as cleaned off as possible. So let's talk about a couple of big categories of stuff that collects on our work surfaces and how we can approach each one of them. First category I call the lost in the home list. This is the stuff that doesn't actually belong in your kitchen. This is the book bags, the purses, the tools that need walked back down to the shed, whatever it may happen to be. The truth is, most of us already have a designated home for this somewhere else in our house, and yet it collects in the kitchen because it's an easy dumping point as we're walking through the home, and we're in and out of the kitchen quite a bit. So some of the strategies that I have used and I continue to use in order to deal with that stuff is to, first of all, if it doesn't already have a home, you need to find another place in your house where it actually belongs. So if the kids' book bags are always on the counters because they really don't have another place for them, is there a foyer or a mud room or maybe in their rooms even? But it's really about working to find a home for everything that's collecting in your kitchen. So once you've identified a home for all of this stuff, the easy part is to just pick it up and put it away. For most of us, this shouldn't take more than 15 minutes or so. The hard part is actually maintaining it. These things just collect over time, like I said. So one of the things that we need to do here is to hold each other accountable. If you're living in a household with other people, then we really need to make sure that we empower everyone that's in the household to say, hey, so-and-so, come get your book bag and put it away. Or hey, so-and-so, come get your work computer and please put it away where it belongs. So not only do you need to stay on top of your family or your roommates, but they need to stay on top of you as well, especially if you're anything like me. I am guilty of this one quite a bit. Another strategy I use is to work this type of cleanup into an existing routine, something the family already does on a regular basis. So it might be in the evenings when you're cleaning up from dinner, do the dishes, load the dishwasher, whatever it may happen to be, and then go ahead and collect all these things from the kitchen and put them away. The next big category of countertop clutter are the appliances and the equipment that we use to cook. This is stuff that by definition does belong in our kitchen, for the most part. We'll get to that in a minute. But these are the things that we use day in and day out to prepare our meals. We're talking about the air fryer, the blender, the mixer, the toaster, maybe a soda stream, and all of the other countertop appliances that just build up. Now it's really convenient to have a lot of those out, especially if you use them every day. And that's really what should be on your countertops, are the ones you use every day. But I want to talk about the ones that you hardly ever use first. These are things like perhaps a giant mixer that only gets pulled out to make Christmas or holiday cookies. Maybe it's a great big roaster that we only use to make a ginormous pot of baked beans whenever we're going to the 4th of July picnic. These are the appliances and a lot of times the equipment as well that we just don't use that often. Maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. One of my best strategies for keeping my countertops and my kitchen in general clear of this type of clutter is to take those things that we hardly ever use and find a place somewhere else in the home to store them. It can be a basement, an attic, a hall closet, a spare bedroom. any place else where you might have some space to put this stuff. Now, I know that means you're going to have to go get it when you do need it those couple of times a year, but really, when you're no longer fighting it and it's no longer in the way when you're trying to make nightly dinners, that inconvenience of going to get it is minuscule. And the joy and the peace that you'll get from not having to move it every time you want to do something big in the kitchen far outweighs that minor inconvenience. Okay, so those are the things we hardly ever use. Well, what about the things that we actually use fairly regularly? Let's break these down even further. If you use it every day, it's a good idea to keep it on your countertops. For a lot of people, even if you use it a few times a week. So we're talking, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week. It might be okay to keep it out on the countertop. But if you're only using it once every other week or once a month, it's probably a good idea to put it somewhere else in the kitchen. And there are a lot of different places that we can put these things. The obvious one is within our cabinets. And a lot of times we actually already have a dedicated space in our cabinets for it, or we did. And then we just kind of quit putting it there. But, it's really, again, getting back into those habits about putting it back where it belongs when you're done using it, if you're not using it really, really regularly. If you don't, then you can use that strategy that I just talked about for the things you hardly ever use to get some stuff out of your cabinets. Maybe a big stock pot or a huge platter or something like that. Put those elsewhere in the house and make some room for those appliances that aren't used as often. There's usually also some empty space above the refrigerator in some homes, or even above the cabinets. This might take some rearranging because you don't want to be getting up on above your cabinets, every week or so to get down a toaster, or worse yet, a very heavy appliance. So in those cases, it might mean taking stuff out of your cabinets that's used less rarely or that is lighter, and putting those above the cabinets to, again, make room for those appliances in the cabinets that you're using on a fairly regular basis, but not every day. All right, so we've covered the lost and the homeless, and we've covered our appliances and equipment. What's some of the other stuff that builds up on our countertops? This is the miscellaneous category. So these are things like our decor or our fruit bowl. Hopefully, if you've worked through the other two big issues, you've reclaimed a lot of counter space, and it's become more and more easy to just make your meals when you need to without having to fight all of the stuff. But if you still have things that are accumulating, you really need to assess what they are and why they're accumulating. Those half-empty bags of chips, those build up in my house at least whenever we're snacking a lot. Right, so one of the reasons that is because our actual dedicated space for them in the cabinet is up pretty high. But if you have little ones and this is an ongoing struggle, again, maybe thinking about how you store stuff in your cabinets. Can you put something from a lower cabinet up higher to make room for a dedicated snack drawer or cabinet down lower where the kids can actually reach? At that point, it becomes a lot easier to tell them, hey honey, can you please put that away? Because they can reach it. If they can reach it to get it out, they can reach it to put it away. Now, if you are trying to restrict access to those types of snacks, then yes, leave it up high, but understand that you are going to need to stay on top of it. When it comes to decor and other decorative items, again, really think about the purpose that it's serving. It may be beautiful, but if it's getting in your way, is the counter really the right place to store it? Do you have somewhere else in your kitchen or outside of your kitchen? Maybe above a window, on a shelf, in a foyer, someplace else where you can move that very pretty thing so that it's not getting in your way when you're trying to make dinner. If all else fails, you might need to rethink how you decorate your kitchen and not decorate with things that have to sit on a flat surface. So instead, think about your wall space over windows, again, those high up areas that tend to be empty above cabinets if you don't have cabinets running the whole way up to the ceiling. These are great places where you can bring your own sense of style in without cluttering up your countertops. Another piece of advice I can give you is to give yourself some grace. The truth is that there are going to be seasons and periods in our lives for either a few days or maybe even a little longer where our countertops are just going to be full of more stuff than usual. This usually is seasonal. It can be when a kid is working on a project for school. For me, I do a lot of gardening, so whenever produce is coming in, this whole swath of countertop can be covered in 50 pounds of tomatoes until I get around to actually processing them. I know that's a temporary situation. Also around the holidays, if you're cooking a lot, sometimes we go out and buy a massive amount of food, and some of it just needs to sit on the countertop, our canned goods, that type of stuff. So try and find places for them as far away from your cooking surfaces as possible, and try to maintain an area of countertop that's clear where you actually can prepare your meals, your lunches, your dinners without that stuff getting in the way. And also realize, like I said, give yourself some grace. It's a temporary situation. The important part is that once that temporary situation is over, that all of those things get packaged back up and put back where they belong. So for example, when the project is over, all of the supplies and the glue and the paper and the markers all gets picked up and put away. When I am done processing those tomatoes, the canning equipment, all of that type of stuff gets put away, so it's not sitting out on my countertops indefinitely. You get into those habits, just a little bit of effort every day or every week, and before you know it, you will just kind of find that it's just a lot easier to work in your kitchen, because overall, even if there's some clutter, it's not nearly the amount that you had before. So did I miss any tips or tricks? Are there strategies that you use to keep your countertops cleared off that I maybe didn't mention? Drop a comment down below, let everyone know so we can all learn from each other. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you got something out of this video. Even if you just picked up one tip to help you keep your countertops cleaner than they are today, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time on A Comfy Cozy Kitchen. Bye-bye.